Center, Friday, April 26, 2024. The County Center, 18th floor, Hillsborough Community Room. My name is Gil Schulzer. I'm interim chair for Commissioner Myers. And the first order of business is the workshop presentation by Molly Gallard from the TPO staff.
Excuse me, Vice Chair.
Yes.
I wanted to let you know that the recording has started. Also, we're not hearing the speakers in the room the mics in the room very well. So if you can please speak up and into those mics, and I'm going to see if we can't get some help.
Okay, is that any better?
A little bit, but I'm still going to see if we can't get some help.
Okay. Do you want us to wait or we can proceed?
Wally, would you test the mic at the podium, please?
Sure. Testing 1, 2, 3.
We can hear you fine. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and proceed.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, well, good morning, and welcome to the Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinating Board's annual public workshop. My name is Wally Duarte, and I'm the Transportation Disadvantaged Liaison for the Hillsborough Transportation Planning Organization. So to start off, I believe it's important to do a quick and brief overview of the TD program in the state of Florida. The TD program was created by the Florida legislature in 1979 with the goal to establish a coordinated transportation system fully responsive to the needs of the TD population. The legislature recognized that the availability of public transportation services were limited to large metropolitan communities and not generally conducive to the needs of persons with disabilities and older adults. Well, there were a variety of programs and human service agencies that were providing transportation to certain activities, but they were not effectively coordinated across the state at that time. Thus, Florida spent the next 10 years from 1979 to 1989 building a coordinated transportation system, culminating with the creation of a statewide commission and dedicated trust fund. The Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, or the CTD, was established by the Florida State Legislature back in 1989. And in 1990, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners designated the Sunshine Line as the Community Transportation Coordinator. On this slide, I want to discuss not only our local coordinating board, but also the roles of the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged, or CTD, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, the Transportation Planning Organization, the TPO, and the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. So the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD, serves as a statewide policy board that oversees the coordination of TD services in every county of the state. The program is implemented at the local level by 3 primary entities. The CTD also works with the state and local partners, including the Florida Department of Transportation, to coordinate funding and purchase trips through the coordinated TD system. The CTC is assigned by the CTD to deliver and/or contract the TD services in a county or multi-county area. The planning agency is the Transportation Planning Organization and is responsible for coordinating planning activities for the local TD program, including staffing and appointing members to the LCB. And the LCB, or in our case, the Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinating Board, is made up of stakeholders of the TD program, including rider advocates, state agencies, human service providers, and elected officials that advise the CTC and planning organizations on the delivery of the TD services in their designated areas. The TDCB was established to identify local service needs and provide information, advice, and direction on the coordination of services to be provided to the TD population of Hillsborough County. So what do? Well, the TDCB, as mentioned, attempts to establish and maintain a presence at the local level. We advise and oversee the CTC, as well as advise the Florida Commission of the Transportation Disadvantaged on local TD issues. In Hillsborough County, the TDCB has 19 members, each representing an aspect of the TD community. The CTC provider in Hillsborough County is the Sunshine Line, the planning organization is the Hillsborough TPO, and the LCB is the— So who are the people we serve and who makes up the TD population? Chapter 427 of the Florida statutes defines the transportation disadvantage as older adults, individuals with disabilities, persons with low income, or at-risk children who are unable to transport themselves or purchase transportation. They are dependent upon others to obtain access to health care, employment, education, shopping, social, and other life-sustaining activities. Some of these individuals may have access to limited transportation options in their community. The transportation disadvantaged are people who are over the age of 65, the economically disadvantaged, people with disabilities, and children at risk. So who do we advise? The TDCB advises these following agencies: the Sunshine Line, which is the CTC operator for Hillsborough County, the Transportation Planning Organization Board, Hillsborough County, the Hillsborough Transit Authority, or HART, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, CTD, and the Florida State Legislature. The TDCB helps facilitate a coordinated system. We partake in meetings every 2 months, and we partake in open dialogue and communication of community issues and priorities, as well as promote the coordination among agencies to ensure the needs of the TD population are met. Your role as a TDCB member is to provide oversight, direction, and information to the CTC, identify local service needs and gaps, ensure a comprehensive, continuous, cooperative planning process, and be an advocate for the needs of the transportation disadvantaged people. The TDCB is required to approve and submit 6 products annually. The Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC evaluation, was approved by the board in December 2023. The Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan, or the TDSP, will be brought to the board for approval in June of this year. The annual operating report was approved in December of 2023, and the annual exponential report was sent to the CTD last fall. The bylaws and the processing of grievance procedures, we will be going over later in today's meeting. The TDCB also supports the Sunshine Line in providing transportation. So how does the Sunshine Line provide services? They do it in 2 ways. Door-to-door service for clients who live outside the HART service area or who are physically unable to ride HART buses, and the CTC purchases bus passes or subsidized HART paratransit for those within the HART service area. This slide looks at the overall 5-year trip plan for the CTC. This analysis was included in the CTC evaluation. CTC trips are defined as those that are door-to-door and bus pass trips provided by the Sunshine Line. The number of trips provided in 2020 and 2021 were heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, but in 2023 we saw a 115% increase in trips. For system-wide trips, which include trips provided by coordination contractors, there was a 100% increase since 2021. Evident by the graphic above, service of the CTC has recovered or is rebounding. I also want to highlight the CTC performance evaluation. This analysis was included in the CTC evaluation. For this performance evaluation, we reviewed the results of fiscal year 2023 and the previous 4 years. Shown here on this table are results for 2021 through 2023. The Sunshine Line has, for the most part, consistently met the performance standards in previous years. The COVID-19 pandemic has negatively impacted a few of the performance measures, but these measures have been recovering since 2021. Most notable is trips per revenue hour. Although the number of trips have increased, a big factor affecting trips per revenue hour is the industry-wide driver shortage. Having less drivers available during that time period greatly affected the agency's ability to provide trips efficiently. The standards are set in the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan, and I included this to highlight the great work the Sunshine Line does to help meet the needs of the TD population despite the various challenges it faces. The Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan identified back in 2023 some of the current challenges and opportunities we are facing from a TD perspective as well as countywide. Limited fixed route bus service and funding, land use and low density development patterns, and awareness of resources. The land use development in our county is growing in a low density way. Therefore, how can we reach people who live far away from services and the urban core areas? How can we get them to their appointments on time and serve the needs of a growing population? The Ride Guide is a great way for us to raise awareness for county resources to help those who need it learn more about the services we provide, and the process, cost, and contact information to acquire them. But what more can we do as an agency and as a board to help get the word out? The CTC evaluation, which was approved last December, recommended the following. that the CTC explore ways to efficiently offer expanded evening and weekend service, restore driver capacity to pre-COVID levels, and maintain drivers at 95% capacity or greater, and successfully implement new scheduling software and offer customers the option to submit TD applications online. The potential merger, regional MPO merger, is also a current potential challenge. How would that look like if the MPOs of Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough County were to merge, and what would that mean for the TD population in the Tampa Bay region? This is something to monitor as it continues to develop. With that, I conclude my presentation for the annual TD Public Workshop. I want to note that Jerry is online and Karen is here with the Sunshine Line, and Sarah and I are with the TPO, and we're open to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment? Obviously not, but any discussion items or questions by any members of the committee?
Artie Fryer. I'm just interested if we have any information about discussions or the status of that, the conversations about the potential merger.
I can take that one. Sarah Caper, TPO staff. The discussions have been happening at the Transportation Management Area TMA meetings. There is another TMA meeting in May that is scheduled, and the discussions are continuing. So far, there have been, some of the talks have been about the port and the airport and their role in a regional MPO. I think we're looking forward to the May meeting to talk about the role of transit operators on a regional board. So the talks are still progressing. They're still, they're, I would say, definitely still in the middle of things. We don't have an update on the status beyond that at this time.
So is it possible for us to get periodic updates and such?
Yes.
As one of the things that we can expect?
Yes, we can add that. The TMA meets a couple times a year. That's where the discussions are happening, and we can add some kind of summary or recap or update to you after their meetings.
And we can do that either via email or we can present it in the June meeting.
Can we do both?
Yeah.
Sure. That'd be great.
To that point, will there be any, for what everybody knows so far, I know everybody's kind of pointing fingers and saying, we want to be there, we want to be there, but judging from the different organizations that are represented here, that I think will be a key issue in any kind of coordinating work between the three to ensure that our specific organizations are represented in the new, however, whatever form this takes. It could be quite ugly, it could be very efficient, it's hard to say, but we need to make sure that the people that are here, the organizations that are represented here, have some say, hopefully, in whatever comes out of these discussions and negotiations. I think that's going to be important going forward.
Doesn't the state legislature have to act on it? I thought there was pending legislation on it. It hasn't gone anywhere.
There are a number of steps that would be involved to becoming a regional MPO. It involves agreement from the largest city. It involves agreement from the governor. And the legislature is not directly involved in the approval process.
For the merger? Or
The merger.
Because I thought that to be the statute just to merge the boards together.
Yeah, I think they initiated it.
They asked for a study looking into it, which was done. But the way apportionment works is a technical process. It's actually the governor's office that's involved. So of course the state legislature could involve themselves if they want to, but that's not part of the technical apportionment process. But we can provide an update to you, maybe at one of your upcoming meetings about the status and also what some future steps could look like before we get there.
Okay.
The complexities to the whole merger, I mean, you got 5 or 6 organizations in Hillsborough County, Pasco County, has their own, Pinellas County, 35 municipalities. So, you know, put musical chairs and people are going to get left out. So there's a lot to be done.
Well, my understanding from other boards is that still the local coordinating board will still be, each county, each have their own still independent of the bigger merger committee. Is each county still have a local coordinating board, which are disadvantaged. That won't go away.
The local coordinating boards and the TD programs are set up in state statute, and they're required to have them. And we've been in some discussions with other MPOs and looking at other MPOs throughout the state of Florida, because there are some that are 2 counties or 3 counties, to see how they handle their own LCDs and TD programs. For example, Sarasota Manatee is one MPO, and they have an LCD for Manatee and an LCD for Sarasota. I believe Alaska Tech. So there are different ways of doing things, and we're following to see how some of the different MPOs that have multiple counties address their TD programs and LCDs.
Yeah, but I'm saying that still transportation disadvantage for each county will still stay the same. My understanding, whether means that one thing to other region, there's pretty much going to stay the same independent. It's just the larger or the bigger meeting, whatever you want to call it, is that is in the works possible.
We have not had any discussions that I'm aware of that at this point, so I really couldn't say because I'm just not aware of them, but we can provide an update on that and where it stands and future steps and update.
But my point is that we are a part of the Hillsborough MPO. Now we become part of the Tri-County MPO. It becomes a little more diluted. I'd be afraid of the dilution of our effectiveness for the local citizen. The only other comment that I would make is I thought the school board had a lot of outlets. We did it justice. Anyway, any other comments or?
I'd just like to make this comment. In view of the information we just got, in particular, the improvement since the pandemic, that says to me that we've been providing the service that we're designed to do. And I would hope that wouldn't be impacted by any changes. So I certainly think that it's important for us to present that. So one of our responsibilities is certainly to make sure that the persons who are provided services are represented. So I think it's important for us to make sure that we've shown that dramatic improvement, which to me is proof that we're providing the services that we need. And we don't want that jeopardized.
Point taken. Okay, any other comments? Thank you, Wally, good job.
Thank you.
At this point, there's no other public discussion, and we will adjourn the workshop and move into the regular meeting. So I will go ahead and call that meeting to order. Mr. Gallagher has a memo he'd like to read into the record if we could.
Before we call attendance, I just want to read a memorandum from Commissioner Myers. She says, please ensure information regarding my absence is read into the minutes of the meeting. I will not be available to attend Friday's board meeting due to another scheduled meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, if we can have a roll call, please. Gail?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Myers is excused. Glenn Brown?
Here.
Nagenia Joseph? Here. Artie Fryer?
Here.
Craig Fursell?
Here.
David Newell? Tracy Noyes? Emily Hugart?
Ian Martin for Inwood.
Ian Martin, thank you. Christina Melling? Clarendon Sennett? Abby Walters? Beth Pasek?
Here.
Marcella Blanchette?
Here.
Deborah LaKenta and Scott Bragan are excused. Jennifer Waskovich,
Here.
Alexia Wiggins is also excused. Councilman Schisler,
Here.
Melanie Williams. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's it's your alternate, my bad. Kristen Thomas,
Here.
John Vargas,
Here.
Cassandra Blaylock,
Here.
and we have Jerry Stickney virtual and Karen Smith in person. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
Thank you. We do have an in-person quorum.
Thank you very much. Okay, again, opportunity for public comment, doesn't appear to be any. We'll move forward. If everybody should have received a copy of the minutes, if everybody's had a chance to read it and there are no corrections or issues, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second.
Second.
We have a motion is second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Chair. Who was the person who made the motion in the second? We're having a difficult time hearing you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Beth Passick made the motion, Ian Barton seconded.
Thank you.
So for this meeting, if we make a motion, we would just call out the name of who made that motion. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have several action items. First is the TD annual bylaws review. Mr. Gallagher, TPO staff will present.
All right, good morning, TDCB members. My name is Wally Gillart, TPO staff, and the intent of today's presentation is to review and reapprove the TDCB LCB bylaws. So the Florida Commission of the Transportation Disadvantaged requires LCBs to annually review and readopt their bylaws. The TDCB is the designated local coordinating board for the TPO, and we serve as a subcommittee for the Hillsborough TPO. The LCB bylaws help establish a formal process for the TDCB activities that include membership, staff, board duties, and subcommittees and communication with other organizations. The LCB TDCB bylaws are incorporated and found in section 4.2.9 of the bylaws of the Hillsborough County Transportation Planning Organization and its committees. These are the representatives present within the TD board. And these are all the required products that the LCB members of the TDCB approve. The TDSP, or Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan, Community Transportation Coordinator Evaluation, the Service Providers Approvals, the appointment of a grievance subcommittee, the annual operating report, and the annual expenditures report. The recommended action for the board today is to reapprove the TDCB LCB bylaws, and this concludes the first portion of my presentation.
At this point, we need to approve these bylaws, reapprove, I guess.
Yeah, reapprove them.
Has everybody had an opportunity to review them? If so, can we have a motion to reapprove the TDCB bylaws?
Ian Martin approval. Craig Purcell, second.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, no. Okay, the motion is unanimous. Thank you very much. Second part, TD annual grievance procedures.
All right. So the TDCB is required to review and approve the grievance procedures on an annual basis. The TDCB procedures can be found attached to the agenda packet, as well as in section 4.3 of the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan. The procedures help establish a subcommittee, membership, and its powers and duties. The TDCB created a Hillsborough County Transportation Disadvantaged Grievance Subcommittee. This subcommittee develops rules and procedures to ensure quality control of the TD coordinated system and to provide participating users, funding agencies, and transportation providers with an impartial body to hear complaints and make recommendations on disputes concerning services rendered. Policies specify the chair appoints a subcommittee. Since the chair is not here, the vice chair acts as the chair and can appoint the subcommittee. If the board wishes, we can continue with the appointment.
Okay, thank you very much. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them? If so, can we have a motion to approve the grievance procedures?
I just want to say the motion would be to continue with the approval. Since Commissioner Myers isn't here, you're the acting chair. So if you're okay, if you feel comfortable, we can continue.
Okay, that's what I thought I said. Okay, never mind. Entertain a motion to proceed with approval of the grievance procedures. Okay, we have a motion to second on the floor. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, no. Thank you very much. Motion carries.
Okay, perfect. So we'll continue with the grievance subcommittee and procedures. So the TDCB grievance subcommittee members, again, are appointed by the chair of the TDCB and shall be composed of 5 voting members. The members of the grievance subcommittee shall serve a 2-year term. A member of the grievance subcommittee may be removed for cause by the chair of the TDCB, and vacancies in the membership of the subcommittee shall be filled in the same manner as the original appointments. The grievance subcommittee shall elect a chairperson and a vice chairperson at the first scheduled meeting of each year, who shall serve for 1 year. A quorum, which is 3 voting members, shall be present for any official action. In the event of a tie vote, the chairperson shall then have the deciding vote. Meetings shall be held at such times as the grievance subcommittee may determine. No voting member will have a vote on an issue that is deemed a conflict of interest. There are currently 2 members on the subcommittee. Mr. Forcell was reappointed in June of 2023 and therefore has 1 more year on his term. And Mr. Vargas, if he part of the subcommittee, will need to be reappointed. The 3 currently vacant positions are the Transportation Services. For the full grievance to the end of your packets.
Okay, thank you. So do we need to have an application period for this?
No, so the members of the grievance subcommittee are members of the TDCB already. So it would be an impartial body that in case of any grievances that come towards the TD service providers, they would be the ones kind of.
Okay, so with regard to this action item, what are we approving at this point?
So we would be appointing three new members to the subcommittee that are currently here. That makes sense.
All right. Who wants to join the grievance subcommittee?
If I may, it might be helpful if anyone wants to join if you share for the group which of the positions, if you are the at-large LTV position, or if you're representing one of the other groups, so we know that we have a full 5 members.
What's the volunteer?
Molly, maybe you could say how often the grievance committee has met in the past couple of years.
Hasn't really met that much at all. Thankfully. This is in case anything was to.
Right.
And what constitutes a meeting of this? I mean, what happens beforehand? What is the grievance about, or how many times has it been tried to have been fixed by the parties involved?
From my experience, we have not had to deal with any of this. This is something that we have to do annually by like.
Wasn't probably years ago, Medicaid used to get its funding from the transportation disadvantage, probably 13 years ago. And so that's what's derived from. So we don't get our funding from this anymore, but it doesn't really mean.
It is a requirement of the LCD and the TD program to review the grievance procedures each year and to establish a grievance committee. As we just heard, it has its origins from something back when, and thankfully have not had to meet in recent history, though they certainly could if there was a grievance that was received. But this committee would be on call, so if we ever received a TPO staff notice that there was a grievance filed following procedures, then we would call the grievance committee to order at that time. And so having the standing committee helps us move more exponentially with that process.
We still need volunteers. Anybody?
I would volunteer Jennifer Moskowitz for, I guess, the at-large position to represent either of the other two.
Sound good? Thank you.
Okay, we need 2 more, or 3 more.
So we would need one more representative
Oh,
of
one
the
more
SCB at large.
Anybody? Come on, just one more.
I'll do it. Marcella Lynch.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay, therefore, we have 2 names, Jennifer, and I'm sorry, which one? Marcel, I'm sorry, Marcel, okay. Entertain a motion to,
If I may, I just want to confirm, Wally, does this include reappointing Mr. Vargas as well?
If Mr. Vargas wishes to be reappointed, and he's online, so if he wants to, he can declare that.
I wish to be reappointed. I'm having a very, very hard time hearing. I apologize for that. So I heard my name but didn't hear anything else of this coming in and out, but I wish to be reappointed.
we apologize for that.
And
Thank you.
it's not your fault.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. So we have 3 people to be reappointed, 1 to be reappointed, and 2 people to be appointed to the grievance committee. Entertain a motion to, yes, ma'am.
If I may, that is
Please.
4 people, and we have a 5th spot. Wally, can you explain what the 5th spot?
Yeah, the fifth spot would be a user of the transportation services. That spot, if I'm not mistaken, was Gloria Mills, and she's no longer part of the committee, so.
So will we leave that position vacant until such time that we have to serve on the LCD?
We can do that. We've received some applications
Okay,
from the public who are transportation disadvantaged users, so we're trying to get them approved by the board and onto the board, so.
okay. So we have reappointment of Vargas, and Jennifer, and myself. Okay, so entertain a motion for those 3 appointments to the grievance board.
Beth Passick, motion to approve the appointments.
Martin, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, no. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. Next, we have, or anything else, Paul?
Yeah, so we've appointed a grievance committee, and if we can just approve the grievance procedures, and that would conclude my presentation.
Okay, so we will need a motion to approve the grievance procedures.
I make motion, Craig Purcell, to approve the grievance procedures.
Second, Beth Passick.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, good deal. All right, next, we have the Life Concepts, Inc., DBA Quest Incorporated, coordination contract, Karen Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Barely.
Okay, I will try to talk louder at this. There we go. So this morning we have the coordination contract with Life Concepts, DBA Quest. This was deferred from the previous meeting. Each agency that receives funding through FDOT, through the 5310 program, is required to have a coordination contract with the county as the CTC. Quest had a current contract which has just expired. So they need to enter into a new contract with the county. They provide transportation for their own clients, which is what all of these contracts will be for vocational training, education, recreation, employment, just various programs and opportunities for their own clients. Last year they provided 7,800 trips. They have, for 48 clients, they have 15 vehicles, and their average cost per trip was $72 and change. Last meeting, there was a question whether they were continuing to provide service. The question was from FDOT, which unfortunately are not here today. We since had a meeting with DOT and Quest and me to discuss that and clarify. They were really just trying to transfer a single vehicle to another another area of their agency where they were having a harder time getting some replacement vehicles. They're continuing to provide transportation here. So FDOT has withdrawn their concern about that. We resolved that right after that meeting. Isabel Harris from Quest is online in case there are further questions, but at this point, we just need approval from this board to go ahead with the new contract with Quest.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Appear to be none. Do we have a motion to approve the contract as discussed? Do we have a second?
Glenn Brown will second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, no. Thank you. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Cove Behavioral Cove Behavioral Health Aid Coordination Contract. Ms. Smith.
Yes, and similarly, Cove receives the same funding through DOT, so they have a contract. They have a current contract with us that is about to expire, so they need to enter into a new one. Cove Behavioral Health is what most of you think of as DACO, but they're now Cove, if that helps clarify who they are. They provide transportation for their own clients for appointments, for off-site therapy, for some community therapy programs, employment, social service appointments, and for their daily medication treatment for drug rehab. Last year they provided 1,300, those are vehicle trips, they're multi-passenger trips. They had some confusion about how they were counting trips, so those are multi-passenger trips, not one-way, not single-passenger trips. They have 11 vehicles, and their average cost for those multi-passenger trips was $79.50. This current year, they're counting them as single-passenger trips. There was some staff changeover, so there was thus the confusion. And in the same manner, we need this. We've previously conferred with DOT, so we've confirmed they have no current issues with their contract with them for the grant funding. And we just need approval to enter into a new contract with Cove. They're also online in case there are questions.
Okay, any comments or questions from staff or the committee? There to be none, entertain a motion to approve the Cove Behavioral Health Coordination Contract for the next year.
Motion approved, Beth Passick.
Glenn Brown second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, no. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you very much. You're still up. Okay.
I am here.
Received the revised community transportation CTC service rates for 24-25. You're still up.
Oh, here. Okay, I'm sharing. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm just here all morning. So every year, each CTC throughout Florida is required to do what's called a rate review. There's a rate worksheet that the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged provides that we're required to input our information to determine what our cost, what our rates for our trips for the following grant year will be. The rate worksheet itself is attached in your agenda, or was it sent out? No, it was attached in the agenda. Okay. It's just a very small fonted, I am so sorry, we can't change it because it doesn't let me, Excel spreadsheet in which we I'll put the information for last year, this year, and then next year. And it determines the rates that will be in the TD, the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan. It is specifically used to determine the rates per trip that we are reimbursed through the Transportation Disadvantaged Trip and Equipment Grant. The grant is a reimbursement grant, so it's not a block grant. You don't get a fixed amount of money. You provide a trip, and then you get paid for each trip that you provide or each bus pass that you issue. It does not determine the amount of money that we're getting in the grant. So no matter how the rates come out, we're getting the same amount of money from the grant. That's determined by a formula, which is separate. Like I said, it includes the revenue, expenses, trips and mileage for next year. And then the formulas that are behind the worksheet determines the overall fully allocated cost per trip. And then as a subset of that, determines what the grant is going to cover. The grant only pays a portion of the cost per trip. It varies each year. Last year it was 45%. This year it comes out to 56% of the actual cost per trip. It just depends how the formula works itself out. As I said, it doesn't determine the cost, the total of the grant. The grant, which starts in July this year, will be $2.7 million, which, including the 10% match. That is about $140,000 more in grant funds than we have in the current year, so that's a good thing. Sorry, I'm looking and there's something over top of my shared screen, but not over top of yours, so you're good. The rates per trip that the grant will be reimbursing based on this will be $41.58 for an ambulatory trip, $71.28 for a wheelchair or lift trip, and $21.20 for a group trip. A group trip is 5 or more people all going together to or from one place at the same time. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I really lost my train of thought. So those would be the rates that the grant would be reimbursing us for each trip. And like I said, that is about 56% of the total cost per trip. The fully allocated cost, which shows on the last page, is actually going down. So we're finally recovering. We're finally, because of the increase in trips that we've been seeing and a kind of evening out of expenses, that's actually finally leveling off. So, well, this is more than what the grant is paying per trip this year. It's just that in the coming grant year, they'll be covering a greater portion of the actual cost per trip, which for us is actually a good thing. So we just need approval from, that's what I was going to say, is that we sent it to the TD Commission staff. They review it before this board meeting. They reviewed it, had a couple of questions, but they have sent their approval, pending this board's approval. So they reviewed it and approved it at that level. And then it will go into our new grant, which starts in July. So we just need approval from this board of the new rate structure and the rate worksheet. And then it will get included in the updated TDSB in June.
Okay, very good. Any comments or questions to staff regarding this issue?
Okay, I have one.
Yes.
Just a quick question. I missed the percentage of the full grant this.
This year, the current year, it's covering 45%. The new, starting July 1st, it will be 56% of the total cost.
Thank you.
Okay. There to be no other questions or comments. We're going to take a budget approving the rate structure for the next fiscal year.
Glenn Brown, move to approve.
E. Martin, second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor, and all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have the Citizens Advisory Committee TD alternate.
Good morning, Sarah Caper, TPO staff. I don't have a presentation for this one. We are, right now, Artie Fryer serves as our CAC Transportation Disadvantage Representative, and he does a great job being there and attending and representing the TD community. But in the event that Mr. Fryer is ever not able to attend, we wanted to ask this board if you would be willing to designate an alternate. So it would only be when Mr. Fryer is not able to attend a CAC meeting. The CAC, the Citizens Advisory Committee, meets generally the first Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. in this room.
Okay. Do we have any volunteers? Come on. How often does it meet, Mr. Fryer?
It's monthly.
Monthly? How often do you not?
I've been generally able to attend.
Yes.
See, you barely have to do anything.
It is a rarity, but it would be good, just in case something does happen and Mr. Fryer can't be there to have someone.
We need a backstop. Come on.
Greg Purcell, I'll volunteer for that.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, take a motion to approve Greg Purcell as the alternate to the Citizen Advisory Committee.
Motion to approve.
Second, I don't want him to change his mind.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, no. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, sir.
One question.
Okay.
I'm not backing out.
Okay.
How much time, what would normally be the alert time? You don't know, of course, but.
How long are the meetings?
No. I mean, in general, you would know how much in advance that you need me to come instead. Who knows, right?
Let's talk.
Yeah, I understand. You don't skip because you planned it. No, you skip because you got it done. All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think we just need.
All right, that's fine.
And we're happy to help with that too, if we can help. Okay, thank you.
Anything else, sir?
Just getting ready for the next item.
Yeah. Okay, next, so that takes care of all the action items. Next we're on the status reports. So the first item is the preliminary draft of the fiscal year 25-26 Unified Planning Work Program.
Well, thank you. Sarah Caper will be presenting the fiscal year 2025 and 2026 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP. The UPWP is a required document of MPOs. It documents and coordinates federal and state funding that the TPO receives for transportation planning purposes. And it accounts for what planning activities the TPO, FDOT, HART, and the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged Funding will be used for transportation planning. The UPWP is part of our federal and state requirements as an MPO. It outlines the major tasks that we'll be doing, and I'll share a little bit more of that in a moment. It's effectively, think of it as the TPO's budget. It documents our staff time, any consultant dollars, and support for transportation planning. And this UPWP cycle that we're seeking your input on goes from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2026. The UPWP, as I mentioned, has different types of transportation planning activities. We have 8 tasks in our draft UPWP, from transportation planning and management. This is, for example, our grants management, and this UPWP falls under that task. We have system and corridor planning and complete streets. This is all of the work that we do about complete streets, and a lot of our special projects and our safety work fall under this task. We have task 3, which is the long-range transportation plan and data management. So Access 2050 that you received a presentation on earlier this year, we collected your input. That falls under this task, and we'll be completing that plan in the next year. The Transportation Improvement Plan, which covers the Transportation Improvement Program and the list of priority projects. You receive that presentation every year. I believe at your next meeting you'll hear more about that and be asked to take action on that. Task 5 is public participation. This is all of the outreach and committee meetings that we do and all of those corresponding activities to reach the community and get their feedback and input. Task 6 is local, regional, and state coordination and planning, which is when we work with our partners. Task 7 is exploration of a regional NPO. This is a new task for us that looks at that regional NPO that we talked about, and we'll bring the updated presentation to you on. And then task 8 is our shared regional task. This is a requirement that we have with our fellow MPOs, and it involves the sharing of money and funding, so it has to be called out separately than task 6. Inside the UPWP, we have critical path projects and required documents. Some of these we talked about already, the long-range plan, the Transportation Improvement Program, this UPWP that we have to do. We also receive requests from our partners. We reach out to various partners and stakeholders to see if there are suggestions or ideas for projects we can do in the upcoming year. And then we look to see what projects we can include that support the greater Plan Hillsborough strategic plan. Here you can see the budget for the UPWP coming up. We receive funding sources in a consolidated planning grant, which is planning and FTA funding. And you can see here on the slide, we receive just under $2.5 million in fiscal year 25 and just over $2.5 million in fiscal year 26. We also will be de-obligating funding from our current fiscal year and adding it to that. And what that means is we have money that we're using for projects now, and the project may not be finished when we reach the end of June. So in order to continue the project with that associated money, the term FDOT uses is we de-obligate the money. So we say, hey, we're going to continue this into fiscal year 25. So we have to do a process, a budgetary process to take it out of fiscal year 24 and move it to 25. So we have the funding listed for that on this slide as well. We also receive surface transportation funding dollars. These are federal highway funding dollars, $600,000 in fiscal year 25 and 26. And then we will receive commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, or CTD funding, which supports efforts like our TDCB and our TD planning. And we just received the numbers. I'm sorry, I don't have them updated in the slide, but we'll receive a little over $53,000 in fiscal year 25, and we're estimating something similar in fiscal year 26. As we get those exact numbers, we do amend the budget to account for any changes to what they turn out to be in actuality. A little bit on the UPWP schedule milestones. So in March, we submitted a draft to the Florida Department of Transportation for review. And now in April, we're asking for feedback from you, our committees, and our required agencies, which include FDOT and Federal Highway, so we can incorporate that into the final draft, which we'll take to the TPO board for approval, and then it has to be submitted to the Florida Department of Transportation by May 15th in order to become effective July 1st and continue our operations. So a draft was included, I believe, in your agenda packet. There should be a link to the draft. I'll provide a little bit of a summary for you on the projects and what's included in that draft. One of the pieces is we summarize what did we do in fiscal year 23 and 24. You can see here on the slide, some of them are annual, such as the CTC evaluation, which we do each year, the State of the System report. We've also been working on safety studies and held a Vision Zero workshop earlier in this cycle. We have a number of projects related to the Access 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan that we've been working on, such as need assessments for equity, real choices when not driving, major investments for economic growth, and state of good repair and resilience. We also note the state disadvantaged business enterprise goal, which is 10.65%, and our current 2-year average for consultant projects is over that at 13% for eligible DBE projects. Some of the things we're looking forward to that are included in this draft UPWP for starting July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2026 are continuing our critical path or required projects. Those are the State of the System report, the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan, the annual CTC evaluation. Those are things that you directly work with at the TDCB. We also do our regional planning. We have USF fellows, a Title VI plan that we're required to maintain and update periodically, community air quality monitoring, which we'll share a little bit more on in a presentation later in your agenda, the public participation plan, which we are reviewing and will be updating, the regional Gulf Coast Safe Streets Summit, our annual transportation improvement program, this UPWP, maintaining it and doing a new one at the end of the next 2-year cycle, and then several Access 2050 components such as project management and oversight, modeling, outreach, regional planning, and then the adoption. Here are some of the requests for planning and analysis that we heard and we're incorporating into our draft UPWPs to work with our partners on. We've received several requests for different kinds of transit analysis, and we're working with HART to determine what we can do with them and with others. We received a request from the City of Temple Terrace to do multimodal planning assistance, and we're going to be coordinating with them to see what kind of assistance we can do. We're looking at complete streets and connectivity area planning, Plant City Trail Connector next steps, before and after studies and templates for Vision Zero and safety projects. We're looking into if we have the funding to do a Brightline Station multimodal study, so how, if a Brightline Station is happening, how do people get to and from that station once they're there? Pending a partnership with CSX, we're looking at freight alternatives for rail corridors, which we received a request from the TPO board on. One of our board members should clarify. We're also looking at if we can do some kind of technology project partnership. And then we're looking at the federally funded transportation projects from our partners, making sure that those are included and documented as well. So with that, I will take any questions you have and welcome any feedback that we can incorporate into the draft plan.
My question is use of the language of deobligating rather than encumbering.
Yes.
How often are deobligated funds lost as a result?
So deobligating is the process of ensuring that the funds do not get lost. So if you, deobligating funds is the term that is used for this kind of grant funding with the Florida Department of Transportation on Federal Highway. And when we deobligate them, we're saying that we want to continue to use them past the current budget cycle. And so that is our way of making sure that they do not get lost.
It's just an interesting choice rather than encumbering, which is what most granting agencies use.
It is, and that's the terminology that we're required to use. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are you still there? Okay, cool.
Still here. Pull that one up. Okay, so next I will be presenting on the Community Air Monitoring Network. And so the TPO is working with the USF College of Public Health, the EPC of Hillsborough County, and community organizations to study air quality in underserved communities along the interstates by creating a network of low-cost air quality monitors. We started a pilot study in 2021. This was based on suggestions from the TPO's Technical Advisory Committee and concerns expressed from the community about air pollution near interstates. So we applied for and received a grant from Federal Highway and conducted a pilot study to test and analyze low-cost monitors and data, engage the community and provide access to the monitoring data, establish pilot air monitoring sites in communities, and develop methods to establish a larger community monitoring network. So during the pilot study, USF worked to identify two different types of low-cost monitors, which are shown here on the slide, the Clarity Node S and the Purple Air, which were deemed the most suitable monitors for community air monitoring. And you can see here on the map, the project team for the pilot established 7 community air monitoring sites where the monitors were installed. And USF and the EPC co-located monitors at the EPC regulatory sites, which are shown here in those yellow dots, for testing and collaboration. Based on the success of the pilot study, the TPO and our partners applied for and received additional funding from the EPA and Federal Highway to expand the pilot study and develop a community air monitoring network. And so this project goes from 2023 to 2026. During that time, we're going to establish approximately 20 to 25 additional community sites located along the interstates. We're going to be evaluating the data and pollutant concentrations over this longer period of time and build capacity within the community about air pollution, air monitoring, and how the built environment relates to those. a little bit about why we're doing this. We are working towards community capacity around air pollution and air monitoring. We want to be able to characterize and continually monitor localized air quality in the community where people are living, learning, working, and playing. We'd like to be able to use local air monitoring data to inform transportation and land use planning and the decision-making processes. Equitably improve air quality so communities are not disproportionately affected by traffic-related air pollution or TRAP. And we'd like to better understand the low-cost air monitors so we can learn how to most effectively complement the regulatory monitoring. So these are the long-term goals that the project team created to be informed and achieved by both the Community Air Monitoring Network and especially those located in underserved communities near the interstates. This is a look at where we are over the course of this project. So right now we're in that December to May 2024 timeframe. We held the first coalition meeting, which is open to the public, and we encourage community partners to attend and participate. That was held on April 18th, and we'll be holding those quarterly, and we'll share more information if you're interested in attending those. We're developing a public survey, which I'll mention in a little bit, to see feedback on where some of these sites should be. We're also identifying some sites. We're not going to be doing all 20 to 25 at one time, so we're looking at identifying sites in phases to add to the network. We're also working on those co-location monitors with the EPC and USF. We're developing a guidebook to help our community partners understand more about what we're doing with the project, what the monitoring means, and how do we continue to work together. And then we're working with the Hillsborough County Public School System with the green teams on educational materials to distribute to schools. We'll continue these efforts with the guidebook, with the sites, and other steps in the process, as you can see here, throughout the rest of the study period. And this is a little bit more in detail about where we are now. We are exploring potential community sites, so we are looking at a technical analysis about where these sites could be. We're also engaging with the community and stakeholders. As I mentioned, we had our first coalition meeting. We'll be having a survey go out shortly because we really want to work with the community to see where we could put air monitors, where people want to see them, and make sure that our stakeholders are involved in the process. A little bit more on the community and site selection criteria. We are prioritizing, as I mentioned, environmental factors such as proximity to the interstate. It's really important to co-locate the monitors close to the interstate system, but we're also going to be looking for some that are a little further back for comparison purposes. And we're looking at demographic factors, as you can see here. Where are there low-income populations, areas where there's a majority of people of color, or where people who may be linguistically isolated, percent of the area less than high school education, percent unemployed, and areas with low life expectancy. So these are some of the things we're looking at when trying to select locations. And also community access and engagement. Can we put the monitors somewhere where the community wants us to be there, wants to be involved in the process, and also where they're going? Part of the purpose is to test their quality, and we want to make sure we're doing that in locations where people are congregating. Once we determine those general areas where they could be, we're doing a technical analysis to look at where those sites actually can be placed. So there are some of them that will be within 1,000 feet of the interstate, and then for comparison purposes, some that are greater than 3,000 feet away from the interstate. And we're looking at sites that are interested in long-term involvement with us and also meet logistical considerations. We have to install the monitors. So, for example, power or solar has to be available depending on the location of the monitor and internet access. Here is a map of the areas that we are prioritizing for the selection criteria. You can see the interstate system, and then we have the areas that have that kind of pink or purple hatching are our priority location areas. In addition to the technical analysis I mentioned, we are going to be releasing a survey shortly. The survey will be open to the general public, to the community, and we're asking for people to, the map. We'll have the map there, and we're asking people to select locations on the map where they'd like to see monitors, and if they have suggestions for partners who we can work with. So, for example, partners could be the city of Tampa, it could be parks, it could be churches, schools, businesses that have a lot of outside areas. Those are some examples of partners that we're looking to work with. So with that, I'd like to thank you, and I'll take any questions you may have.
Yes, you're looking for partners. Given that last I knew, one of the main reasons children, there's high absenteeism in our school system is asthma. You may want to consult the data that the school system has regarding absences that are directly related to asthma. But also you may want to consult the Sunshine Line too, where they're picking up and helping people get to their medical appointments in relation to breathing disorder type things as well, to kind of see if that has any regional sort of correlation.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you say that one of the considerations for placement is the availability of power, solar?
Yeah. Yes, so there are two different monitors. One of them uses power, so it needs to be somewhere where there's a power outlet. The other monitor uses solar panels. So we do have options, but if it is a solar one, we look to see is there a south-facing side so we can get the solar to power it.
So if it is near an area, you mentioned churches, so if that's the available area, the power, I presume, is electric. Tico power? From Tico?
Yes, so it can plug into an outlet.
So would the church then be charged for that usage?
We're looking to a way to provide some kind of subsidy, but we have not figured out all the details of that at this time.
Okay, so is that going to be a priority in terms of determining how that cost is shouldered? Because if it's going to discourage usage in an area where we suspect that there's problems, then that area is essentially going to have less chance of being an area that's monitored. So that, to me, is contradictory for the purpose we have here. And that very well may be what you see in many low-income areas. And if I heard you correctly, those seem to be some of the areas that you want to be able to monitor.
Yes, those are the areas where we're looking to monitor. We are working on figuring out the details with our different grant partners on how to do a subsidy, but there is also the solar option monitor, so that would not have a cost to the location where it is at this time.
Except to have a south-facing area.
Correct. But we
I
definitely
mention
are
that
aware.
because that to me seems to be a real critical issue.
Yes, we definitely are aware of that, and we're just, with the grant funding, we're working to see how do we make something to address that happen.
Where would the grant possibly come from?
We already have the grant, so we have an EPA and we have a federal highway grant, and we're working through the details of how we might be able to work with that funding to provide the community locations, but there are a lot of hoops, and so we're just working through to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's, so none of that gets in jeopardy.
Okay, so you'll keep us
Yes.
notified about it.
Yes.
Okay. I have another question. And this may be farther down the line. So I wrote down, I believe one of the things that this is to do is to improve disparities. That doesn't say a whole lot to me. I guess it's, what would be the result if you see that there is a disparity?
So we're,
How do we improve the disparity? What's expected to be done?
So right now, we're looking to collect the data from the monitors as we get them placed and understand what some of the differences are in air quality. And then we're also going to be working with the coalition and the community sites. We're asking to participate in the coalition if they're able to provide us feedback and oversight. And one of the things that we're asking the coalition to do is provide recommendations on next steps and also on how we might be able to incorporate this into our planning processes to address disparities. So we'd like to see a community-based discussion about how we move forward to address those.
All right, the other note that I made was to inform future planning and decision-making. So decision-making by who and planning by who?
Well, the area we have the most influence on as staff is when we talk to the TPO board. We could suggest to them when we prioritize transportation projects, which happen every year through the Transportation Improvement Program, if we can incorporate this data into that. We're also going to be sharing the data with partners. We've been partnering with the City of Tampa. We're having discussions with Hillsborough County as well to see if they might be able to use some of the data and hopefully incorporate that into some of their decision making. But the TPO board, they received this presentation at their last meeting as well. We presented it to, I believe, all of the different committees that the TPO supports and subcommittees. So we're sharing this information with all of our partners, our different local governments that participate on the Technical Advisory Committee, with all of you, and then keeping our board, the TPO board, informed as well so they can know what we're doing and think about it as well.
I got a question on kind of the way, down the road, we got 25 units, they're all reporting, and then there's a couple glaring, very bad pollution areas. What happens? You're not going to tell people to move away. I mean, what is the rational thing that is recommended, or who does what about trying to fix a especially bad polluted area?
Great question, and that's some of what we're hoping we'll develop recommendations through the coalition with and think about how do we address these kind of issues. And some of it might be what kind of areas are we seeing? Are there commonalities? Are there very different locations to try to understand where it's happening, what's happening, and that would help us develop recommendations, because until we see where those areas are, it's hard to know what those recommendations may be.
Maybe like altering a truck route or something.
Correct. Like if all the locations are by truck routes, that tells us a story that helps us address it.
Glenn, both of those comments, I think, are important to make sure if we're doing outreach to the community, that those are specifically mentioned to people, because this can go right past in discussions if you don't specify. I heard this same presentation with the CAC. The interstate seems to be one of the areas that's really going to be a concentration. That happens to run through quite a few areas. Trucks there, where their populations are heavy, and those seem to be critical areas that could be impacted. But unless that's clearly mentioned to people that are in these meetings that may not recognize that this is to help, and then we kind of give an idea of what could be some possible ways to solve this problem. Because you certainly can't pick the interstate up and move it. So, you know, it seems as though if we identify an area, it's going to be an existing problem unless there's some solutions that we at least have some idea that can be presented as potential solutions. And that's where I think informing future planning and decision-making is something that we need to be more concrete in terms of how that might be addressed. We may not be able to give a specific, but again, you know, there's some thought to it.
Thank you.
Okay.
One of the areas are in the eastern Sulphur County, highly industrial area. Since our area expertise is transportation, we can't really do anything about industrial area, because it's not the area that we're have jurisdiction over. So if you have this near industrial, there's nothing you can do about industrial, because that's not what the focus is. I'm assuming the time the focus is eventually, as they tailpipe emissions or something like that, where we sort of have to focus on, but versus something we can't address beyond transportation.
Yes, and the grants that we received to do this project are focused on near the interstate system, and the idea is the transportation-related air pollution is what we're focused on, though we'll see what kind of results we do get, but yes.
Again, the overall idea is eventually get down emissions out of cars. That's the only area we have any inclination of addressing.
Yes, and we're also going to be exploring other solutions, such as if there are plantings or if there are other physical solutions or things like that that can be done, and we'll definitely be exploring what the options are as we see what types of areas there might be a concern.
Actually, to that end, I do think we do have some, because if there is some industrial type thing going on, there's an impact on our Sunshine Line running people that are unable to get to it. So there has to be some sort of discussion, and certainly the cost that is coming from that needs to be brought out. But
well, we sometimes have to change everything, but the overall importance of the industrial you can't change, that jurisdiction.
But understanding the cost that it's incurring can be brought to bear.
Yes, Jennifer.
Yeah, we talked, I know the electricity looking for stipends that help, but does the grant cover all other costs for installation, upkeep if one of them quits working, who I guess will be monitoring, and take like manpower to do all that?
We are, the cost of the monitor, if it's in one of the areas that is eligible, would be covered by the grant. And we have the grant through 2026 to cover the cost of air monitors. Installation, we are working with USF, and they're going to, one of the things that USF is doing as locations are suggested, and we determined, is this potentially feasible, is they're going to be doing field visits, and working with the organization that is our partner to address the installation. We are asking for partners, community partners, and so there will be, while we're still working out some of those details like the stipend and how things work, is there is some role that the organizations we're participating with to play in ensuring that the monitor is either working, and I believe I have to confirm, but there's some kind of requirement to check on it on a periodic basis. And that is written into the agreement, and the agreement would explain our roles and responsibilities as well as the community partners.
Any other questions? I do have a couple.
So we'll get periodic updates.
Yes, sir.
How much was the total grant?
I'm sorry, I don't have that information, but we can follow up and get that to you.
My notes that I've written is, we're going to get a lot of data. What are we going to do with that data? Who's going to have ultimate oversight with responding to it? You answered to the discussions, a lot of that, but can't change what's there. Can't put big giant fans up there and blow the exhaust away. So, who's initiating the whole project?
The original pilot project was a suggestion from the Technical Advisory Committee, the TAC, And then the TPO applied for the grant and received the funding, and because of the success of the pilot, we applied for and received additional funding. One note on the data itself, both the Purple Air and Clarity Air Monitors data is available online. And if you go to the project website, which is listed here, you can actually find links, so anybody can go and see what the data being collected is.
Having the data, collecting the data is all well and good, spending the grant money, but if they don't do something with it, you know, we don't need an extra lane on the interstate running through Seminole Heights or running through East Hampton or whatever. So as long as they take the information, do something with it, and just say, oh, you know,
Yes.
it's worthwhile, otherwise it's just why bother?
And that's definitely a part of the project, is to see what kind of recommendations come out of this based on what we're seeing. And we have some great partners with the USF School of Public Health and the EPC that are also helping with lending their expertise in this area.
Very good. Any comments or questions? Thank you very much. This is going to be something I think we should watch closely. Okay, next item. Jerry, Sunshine Line update.
Hey, good morning. This is Jerry. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Good morning, and thanks for letting me be virtual. I've been under the weather all week and figured I'd spare you my sickness in the meeting. But I wanted to go ahead and, I believe Wally printed out our operating stats for this cycle, run through that. We are at 96% driver capacity currently. Out of the 14 operators we hired, one did not make it through. So we're going to be recruiting another class next week. So we'll be keeping that above that 95%. That is our goal. Through February and March, January stats were on our last report. Our trips are increasing. The 9,400 and 91 in February, we had a big event with our rating services team we supported and helped. Our total clients served in the 1900s. On-time performance is continued to be that 93, 94%. We were just shy of 95% for March, finishing at 94.7. Our bus passes, those are issued in that 1,700 mark. We are and have been focusing on some outreach targeting into the Hart service area for our partners in our bus pass program. So we've been focusing on that. Our call center, that 5,900, 5,800 incoming calls, percent answered around 94.8, 94.3 for the 2 months. And in January, we had the Cisco phone outages, which really impacted our hold time and our answer rate. And as you can see with those fixes, we've gone back to our typical time frame and numbers with a 57-second hold time in February, 94.8% answer rate, 94.3, and then a 70-second average hold time. So we are moving in the right direction, continue that threshold. And then underneath, we got this compliment that came in this week, sent to the county administrator portal, and it's something that I wanted to share with everybody. And it's I won't read it verbatim, but it's one of those things to where that's why we do what we do. The passion for the job, you know, our staff, it's not just the job, it's something they love to do, and it replicates amongst all of our drivers. And Rolando is one of those, a new hire within the last year, and he is serving this as his second career, second role, and he's loving it. And that passion that he has is carried out throughout multiple of all drivers as well. And I just thought it was really nice, and I wanted to share that with all of you. And we shared it with Rolando, and it's came at a really good time, and it made me feel good, made me smile, and it was nice to receive, and that it went to the county administrator. And on the back page of the operating stats is our partnership with TD Tampa Bay, with the PSTA and Go Pasco. Our trips were January through March around 40-36. I mean, it looks like we're standing out about 9 clients. If you do recall, they did have to put a cap on accepting new clients. So that's really where the stability with the clients is sitting at that 9. We are partnering with them again for another year to put in a request with the ISD grant, the innovation grant, to provide us with some additional funding to remove this cap of clients and include throughout nights and weekends as well. So we've submitted for that, and it's Pinellas County submitting through it. We're partnering with them to continue that cross-county partnership for that program. So that's ongoing, and that'll be us. They just did their presentation on that, and we'll find out, I believe, in June on what that's going to look like moving forward. All new software, we are going with VIA. We've had a route match for quite a few years. We talked about it last meeting. We are looking and finalizing a rollout in July. So the middle of July, we'll be looking at a transition to that new VIA platform. At our next meeting, I will have a presentation for y'all, and I'll be in person, and we'll go through and give you a look of what that program looks like, all the new features it has, and what we'll look at for that client-facing app in the future. So we'll be sharing that with you. But we'll be looking at that July rollout, so there'll be a lot of staff training and planning in the next few months to make that seamless. And it will be a rollover over the weekend, so there won't be any major service disruptions. We'll close out on a Friday with our route match service, and we'll start integrating our new software and tablets that evening, work through the weekend to roll out on Monday in our new software. And we do have a little bit of leeway, so if something doesn't mesh right and we're not able to move without any major issues, we'll continue with our program. We got a little bit of overlap within our two contracts to be able to make sure we can roll out seamlessly without any issues. Hurricane season is upon us, so it's going to be here before we know it. We participate in our emergency operations readiness week, our quarterly meeting with our operators and our staff. We went through our hurricane preparedness plans. We are focusing on our continuity of operations planning and getting set for the hurricane season. And I do want to ask the board, last year, we had emergency management come out to do a little presentation in, I believe it was the June-July meeting, to give us an update on the hurricane season, because that is when it kicks off. If y'all are interested in that again, I can reach out to them to try to get them on for next year, or for this year. So you can let me know if that's something you're interested in. And finally, the last thing I just wanted to thank all of you and the support from the team. As Wally talked about, the TD and then the CDC and who we are and what we do. It's the support from all of you of why we were able to do what we do every day. And the numbers, it's nice when the job is great, people are happy, we're doing what we love, and then the numbers speak for themselves. When you have a care and passion for what you do, and that goes through all of our staff, you'd hope the numbers and the stats follow. And just happy to continue to grow year after year with the shortages. And I'm excited for this grant year to finish and the next grant year with a full staff and to see where we go from here. So that's all I have for right now, pending any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, how the electric vehicles working out?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Electric vehicle vans, last meeting, we're getting electric.
Yes. Yeah, so there ended up being a paint issue with all three of those vehicles. We've had them in-house. We haven't been able to put them into service yet. They started, all three of them had to get worked on a plan with the vendor to be either repainted, stripped, or having to be wrapped, a vehicle wrap. And we just went through back and forth on, of course, warranty, all that fun stuff. And they're going to be wrapped, and they're currently being wrapped. They tested the paint earlier this month. And I know we've been talking about this Christmas, basically, to get them in there. And they're still not in service, but we finalized the wrap color, the design and everything this month. So I know I said it again, and they should be in service within this next month. And then we'll have it the next coordinating board. As soon as they're fresh and ready, they'll be down in the front for y'all to see it and kind of get your hands on it and see it firsthand. So we're waiting on them, and with being fully staffed, those extra 3 vehicles will help too. So we're anxiously waiting to get that in service.
I got a question. Some of the software things you talked about, is there option on calling in? People can go online and get in contact and make an appointment?
So when we roll it out, our call center will always be available for people to call in and to book that. We are working on an online application as well. And then part of the vendor that we chose, they have that application that you can, we're going to look to have a launch later in the year of a view only potential app where you can see your trip, see the bus on the map, all those features. And then we're going to work to build into where clients can also at some point book the trip, cancel the trip, and have that feature as well. So that is the goal. There are a couple things we've got to work through with the permissions that the user end has to not impact our daily service and connect with ourselves. So still a little bit of tweaking on the app building, but we're going to launch that view only feature. And then we'll move into the secondary launch of the app, which would be the capability to book, cancel, and do all that through the app as well. But our call center will always be available for people to call in to book, cancel, get information as well.
All right, good, yeah, because that would certainly, eliminate some of the hold time and what have you, if a good percentage of the people were doing it online, so.
Absolutely, and one of the features that this new software has is some automated reminders for clients that will help out with the call volume inherently. The night before, they're going to get a phone call to remind them of their trip, and then through the GPS and the data, we're going to have a reminder or a warning call at 15 minutes from their pickup time. So they get a call to let them know exactly what time, in 15 minutes your driver's going to be there. So some of those calls we get are where's my bus, where's my driver. Some of that will inherently be a little bit better as well.
Cool. Any other comments or questions? Jerry, I have two. Number one, kudos to you and your staff. The numbers look good, and particularly with the comments to the driver. Good luck with your conversion. They're always fun, and they're usually fun. And I'm going to leave a business card with Wally. If you were here, I'd give it to you. But if you could reach out to this person, they have a Sunshine Money concern. But I'll leave it with Wally if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's perfect. And Wally can give it to Karen, and I can get that back from her as well. That's perfect.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Garcia. Mark, you're up. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, KTCB. My name is Jesus Barraza Garcia. CART staff, and I'm here to provide an update on CART Plus, which is our ADA paratransit service. So we look at two metrics, on-time performance and ridership. So our on-time performance has been in the mid to high 90s over the past 3 months. You can see it peaked a little bit in March. That's thanks to spring break. There is less traffic and there is less ridership too, so there are less delays thanks to that. We also look at pickup on time performance, so did we pick you up on time? And we look at that one by number of trips. So out of the 14,000 trips we provide every month, about 1,500 to 1,800 were late. And you can see it dipped in March again because of spring break. I feel like I say that every time, but it's true. When school's not in session, there's less traffic. Then we look at ridership. So we're steady at around 13,000 trips. We have our demand trips, which are the one-off, like people call, hey, I want to go to the grocery store, just like a one-time thing. And then we have the subscriptions, which are the recurring trips, like school kids, they have to go to school every day at 8 o'clock, or dialysis appointments every Tuesday at this time. And you see the subscriptions dipped in March, and that's because a lot of the school kids are in subscription. Sorry, you'll see that demand plus subscription is not equal to total. That's because we have cancellations and no-shows, which we also track. In vehicle time, so there was a request a while back to look at the number of trips that take longer than an hour. It's been relatively flat at about 20 trips per month that take longer than an hour. The number of trips that take an hour and a half or more have diminished over the past 3 months, so that's good. I have the taxi trips, so we have a vendor that we delegate some trips to them because we are at capacity, so we use them as overflow, and we also use them as same-day service. If people want to use CarPlus, they have to book at least 1 day in advance. Or if they want a same-day trip, they have to call Yellow Cab. So you see Yellow Cab has been going up. That's because we've been relying more and more on them to help us manage demand. Then one last update I had, and not to be a copycat, Jerry mentioned that they transitioned to a new software. We're working on that. We're very behind on that process. We are just working on the RFP right now to release it so that vendors can bid and we can choose a platform. But we're trying to move in that direction because part of our problem is the scheduling software. So we're trying to improve that front. Well, that's all I have. Thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Any comments or questions from the board? Thank you, business. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, moving forward, is there any old business for discussion? Any new business for discussion?
Yeah, just a couple things I want to say. First, I want to introduce Corey Norris as the alternate to Alexia Wiggins as part of the Hillsborough County Public Schools. Corey joined us today, so he'll be an alternate moving forward. The TPO is doing a rider and driver profiles as part of the, and so as part of the RTP write-up analysis that we want to go ahead and highlight users and drivers of the TV system. So if you know anyone specifically who's a TV user or a driver, we would like to get in contact with that individual and reach out and interview them. So that's it.
Okay, next meeting is scheduled for June 28th. It's been a long morning. Thank you, everybody, for your attention and patience, and staff for good presentations. This meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.
And it could be part of the house. I have some. Thank you very much.
I love it when you get two trips right across the street. Oh, man.
So we need to go out.
Very, very good. Have no meat to the meat. It's all wonderful.